Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Table Talk with Pastor Lynne and friends. We apologize. We are so technology challenged. But we just ask you guys forgive us that we were having some difficulties, but we have got it together now. Anyway, again, we welcome you to Pastor Lynne and friends Table Talk with us. We want to have some real conversation with you. We want you guys to get involved in the conversation. We want to hear from you. It is not a conversation without you. So please chime in. Let us know what you're thinking. Let us know your suggestions. We want to hear what your heart is saying. What is God speaking to you? You know, what is life for you right now? So please join in the conversation. If you're viewing from YouTube, we want you to make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure that you like. Make sure that you hit that bell so you will always be notified when we're coming on. And Facebook, we want you to make sure you like, share. Let others join in on this conversation as well. I pray that you guys had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I know we did.
Yes.
We had a great Thanksgiving, just having, living life with friends and family and just having a great time, eating too much food. I don't know about y'all, but I got fat yesterday. I know I gained about 20 pounds yesterday just looking at the food. But anyway, again, welcome to Table Talk with Pastor Lynne and friends. I am Pastor Lynne.
Monique, Joelle,
and we welcome you. This is how we do it. We take our trusty bowl of conversation and we choose from there. And whatever comes out is the conversation that we will have. So y'all get ready. Are we ready? We're ready.
Today our discussion is going to be about isolation.
Ooh. Okay. All right. Isolation. Wow. Okay. Well, let's talk about isolation. What does isolation mean?
I see the good and the bad of isolation. For me, when I'm going through and I need to process, I have to isolate. It gives me time to think. But the other side of it is to isolate too long can send you down that dark hole.
Yeah.
So like I said, I see the good and the bad of isolation.
You guys know that I'm really good at doing that.
Absolutely.
So I have to confess here on Facebook, I'm really good at isolation, and these two, they will be on me. Let us know how you're doing. And I think we just fall into the habit of we'll do it ourselves. We can figure out ourselves. We're just going to deal with it ourselves by ourselves. Sometimes that's not the best thing to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Because like Monique said, it puts you in a deep, dark hole. And sometimes I think a lot of the times all of us do that. And I know for me, if you guys aren't reaching out to me, I'll just sit there and sometimes have a good crying session, but it doesn't make me feel any better, but then I just isolate. So
yeah, I think it's easy to isolate. As you see, we have our special guest. Miss Malia is with us today. It's okay. We actually have had our family dinner yesterday, and we're just continuing on our Thanksgiving. And listen, we talk about community. This is community, right? This is what we do as a community, that we bring our little ones along, train them up, raise them up in the way that they should go, and they shall not depart. So anyway, yeah, when I think about isolation, I think it's easy to isolate because you can feel sorry for yourself. It's a time where you can really just kind of separate yourself and not have to hear truths. Because I think a lot of times when we isolate, it's because we really don't want to hear the truth. And it's easy to isolate because you really don't want to hear. I don't want to hear what other people have to say when I isolate, right? I just want to be by myself to my own thoughts.
It isn't me hiding because I don't want to hear. It's me not needing to hear because I need to hear myself.
Mm.
I've got to come to grips with whatever I'm dealing with, the good and the bad of it, and I just need time to think. So yeah.
Okay. No, I think that's good though. I think. So you said at the beginning that I'm sorry, I'm just getting over the flu, so my voice is in and out. You said at the beginning that a lot of times it could be a good thing and a bad thing.
Right.
And I think sometimes it is good to just hear yourself. I think when it goes bad is when we stay in that place. When if we don't, where God has told us, we've heard it, we know what we need to do, but it's just easier not to have to deal with the steps. I'm just being honest. It's just easier for me not to have to deal with the steps. It's easier to just seclude myself. And a lot of times when I seclude, as I said, it really is because I don't want to hear what other people have to say. I really don't. Because I probably already know the truth, right? But I don't want to face that truth. So I isolate so I don't have to hear or head on what is happening in my life. What part did I contribute, what part did I not contribute? How can I make the changes? Sometimes I just don't want to change. And being with people, it makes you, especially if you're with people who love you, it makes you have to make those steps towards, making the adjustment in your life. And sometimes I just don't want to do that. I want to be in my stupor. Let me isolate. And just leave me alone.
I think I'm processing. Leave me alone and let me process so I don't have to flash. Hey, transparency. Leave me alone, let me process, because if you don't, then I'm just going to be evil. So just let me process.
And I know for me in my isolation too, that's my time with God.
Yes.
In my isolation, that's my time
Ooh, we missed that.
to
Okay,
connect
yes.
and to just say, okay, less of me, more of you. In the isolation, I just give it to God and just be patient and be still and wait.
So wait, are you telling us that we have to be patient because you're giving time with you taking time with God? Is that what you're trying to say? I'm just trying to understand here, because when we call you and you don't respond, or when we text you, you don't respond. I need to understand.
Oh, is that your time with God then? So you're not isolating for most of that time. You're just taking some time with God. Okay. That's what she's saying. She just taking some time with God. I like that answer. Good answer. Good answer. No. I think though that one of the wonderful things about having this holiday, this Thanksgiving holiday, that it brings you together with other people to help you move out of that place of feeling like you want to be alone. Like I've been sick for the past couple of weeks and just fighting that flu virus, and it's just it's an ugly virus, right? It's just one of them viruses that won't leave your body alone. And I knew what I needed because I was starting to get sad because I was having to cancel everything, like ministry trips and just cancel everything. Like I couldn't do anything. Can ministry assignments, I couldn't go speak. Were a couple of places, and I was like, Lord, I feel so helpless in this place, and I started withdrawing from everyone. I think, as a matter of fact, the only person I was taking phone calls from was Mo. The only person I was. But it was something about the Thanksgiving and all of the family coming together. Mo will tell you, I just lit up. It was like, okay, you know what? I need this. I need to see my family. I need to remember the reason why we keep going, right? I need to
Yes.
remember why we have to stay connected. Because this is not something we were meant to do by ourselves. Even when we were sick, he tells us to take care of the sick. And so even when you're sick, he doesn't want you to just be wallowing in that stuff. And so I think that isolation, it's good to isolate and fast and spend that time with God. But when it gets to a place where it now becomes your norm, that's when I think it's going to be bad. We want to hear from you. If you're viewing, let us know what you're thinking. Let us know your thoughts on isolation. Are you dealing with isolation right now? And maybe you have some tips on how we can move out of this place of isolating ourselves from others. But isolating, yeah, that's wow. I think it's so broad that you can talk about isolation. You get hurt, you isolate yourself. Um, Disappointment sometimes causes you to isolate yourself. And so I think when you think about isolation, it's so broad.
But I think too, you have to think about, you need to be able to spend time by yourself and enjoy your own company. There are a lot of people who can't be by themselves, who are scared to be alone. And I think,
true.
like I said, that there's a good side of isolation and a bad side. I enjoy my time to myself. Maybe too much, but I
But it's that
enjoy it.
isolation, though.
To some people it is.
Okay, that's fair.
Because I can go in my room, watch TV, and I can stay in there. I don't have to talk to nobody.
Okay, I can see that in isolation.
You know. But I think it also just depends on what you're doing in that time. If you're using it to hide out because you don't want to deal with something, if you're using it because you're on that downward spiral, that's the bad side of things, and you need your family and friends to help pull you out of that. That is the bad side of it.
Yeah.
And I think too, because of the last few years, I think more people are doing it more so now since COVID.
Yeah.
There's a lot more people in isolation.
Oh,
You're
not
right.
wanting to go anywhere, do anything,
Yeah.
reach out to anybody. They just want to be, and they're trying to be safe as well. But that's where I think isolation has a big.
That fear that the contamination, I might get contaminated.
There's a lot more
We've
people in
gotten comfortable
isolation
in our
now.
misery.
We have gotten comfortable in our misery, but I think a lot of us too, I agree with the misery. And I also agree with you, Joelle, that there is an element of fear now that COVID has thrust upon us as human beings. We already were facing and dealing with fear, but now we have another level of fear that is causing people. We were just at a service, and I ran into an old friend, and that was the one thing that actually there was 3 people that I ran into, and they all said, this is the first time I've really been in a crowd since COVID. And I intentionally keep myself inside because I don't want to take any chances. And so we do is this, that COVID has inflicted this fear, and we are at such a disconnect because we did spend a year and about a year and a half, and almost 2 years in isolation, like only to your household. So and when you are a community of or have a culture of connection, because we are a culture that we connect, right? We're a culture of community. That was a hard thing for our culture to deal with. And so a lot of our culture, people from our culture are suffering
And
from.
I think more so the younger generation, they're really having a tough time with, depression, anxiety, suicide. It's just elevated.
Yeah.
That's where that isolation comes into play.
Here we are amping back up with this virus that's going around, where we're a lot of people are going back to wearing their mask and being more careful again. So here we go with isolation again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Back to that.
You know,
Yeah, I mean, it's a fear. I mean, even when we go out, I still have to put on my mask because first of all, I'm immune challenged, so um, I have to be careful. But there's an element of fear in the back of my head that says if I go in a crowded place, I'm bound to get COVID or I'm bound to catch something, right? Like, so I find myself not engaging with people or people outside of my home because of that fear. So yeah, isolation is a big thing. But the problem with isolation is in isolation, we're not touching it and building community that way. We're not doing the work that way. We can't be isolated and build the kingdom at the same time. So I think isolation is good to a sense or a point, but I think we have to be careful about how we disconnect ourselves from one another.
Definitely.
Good evening, Dana, and good evening, Mary. Mary, we miss you, baby.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
and your
Miss
grandbabies
Mary.
miss you.
We miss you, our sister. We miss you too, April. But yeah, so as we're talking about isolation, we want to hear from you. Communicate with us about isolation. What is your experience with isolation? And where are you at in life right now? Like, are you in a place where you feel like you need to isolate, or do you know others and you need some tips on how to help them navigate through this time of isolation? We want to be a voice for you, but we also want to hear from you so you can be a voice to us. Mary said, I miss you too. I hear my grandbaby. Yes, your grandbaby is making her debut today. So yeah, what are your thoughts on isolation?
What is it that you do? What do we gain from it when we're in that dark place? You know what I'm saying? We do it, but what are we gaining from it? We become so challenged to step out of it. We get comfortable in our misery. Um, and it's almost hard to come out of it, you know? So,
I don't know. I don't know that you really gain anything from it. I was thinking one of the chapters in my book is about isolation. And I talk about how when I was going through a really dark time in my life, I built this place I call Lynn's World. Wow. And I gave it a name. I gave my isolation, but in this world, it was only me and my children. And then, of course, the people who supported all the chaotic and stupid stuff I was doing, like they were able to come. But it was a world that I built to keep people um, that didn't support my way of living out. And how did that work out for me? Well, talk some more about it in my book, but it didn't work out for me at all. It didn't. I think it caused more discomfort. It caused more harm. I think it caused a lot of pain for my family and for myself. And I think my children suffer greatly from it.
yeah, I'm just sitting here thinking, I just lost my train of thought. But anyway, hold on.
That's that age, girl. That's that age. When you get up in age.
We get to that point where it's like somebody has hurt us or done us wrong and we withdraw. We become very bitter and angry. We withdraw. You know, how many elderly people have withdrawn from the world and they're just in their own little home
By themselves.
by themselves. They're not having any communication other than what is absolutely necessary. You know, there are those who are trapped in their homes by invisible lines because they've been there so long, you know.
Yeah. Mary says isolation in some ways can be good, can be also damaging to those around us. You're right, Mary. Said a little earlier it could go both ways. However, we didn't talk about how it damages those who are around us. And you're right, it absolutely can be very damaging. We don't realize the effect it has when we withdraw. Because when we withdraw, we take what other people need, right? And so we're not giving people what God wants us to give them. It causes a lot of pain. Yeah, it hurts. It hurts people who are around us. So I would think to your point, Mo, then let's talk about how can we as sisters, how can we as community, how can we help those that we know are in isolation or we see them heading towards isolation? How can we help them with tools and steps to overcome that or to navigate them out of that place?
Ooh,
Find a good support group online and Zoom.
She said find a good support group online and Zoom.
oh my gosh, I was giving me the blues. I'm thinking, try to start some kind of dialogue with them. And they're going to be standoffish because they become accustomed to stand by themselves and to themselves. So it isn't like they're going to be open armed, probably, is what I'm thinking,
Yeah.
But it's got to start somewhere. How many people have isolated themselves so long that they won't even step outside the house? So everything gets delivered to them. They were getting delivered before DoorDash was popular, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We've got to, I don't know, we've got to start trying to reach out to those as well. I mean, we talked about the homeless and everything, but I had never thought about those who have isolated themselves for various reasons. People may have been a victim of something, a crime or something, and to feel safe, they stay at home. How do we reach out to those? How do we assist them with breaking down that barrier to get themselves out of that situation so that isolation is no longer their captive or captor?
And two, that could be concerning because it could be a detriment to their mental health.
Oh gosh,
That
yes.
could slowly and when that starts to go, that's pretty alarming. It's pretty scary.
Yeah, when I first met this one, she used to talk to us, and I'm just kidding.
I probably did, so don't discount it. I ain't no telling, I'm good at talking. When I start answering myself, that's when I need to be concerned. I think one of the things that we could do, and Mo, you said it, I think that we can reach out. And it takes us to move past our own pain and our own discomfort and our own fear. What will happen if I reach out and they reject me? What will happen if I reach out and they say okay, but then they don't carry through? And so I think a lot of the times we have to move past our fear so that we can help them. And that starts by reaching out and letting them know that they can trust your friendship. They can trust your sisterhood, or if you're a man, your brotherhood. They can trust that you will be there. Most people who isolate themselves is because they don't trust anyone to handle their pain. And so I think that we need to first reach out and form a community of trust. Mary said, opening up to someone does not come easy. It took me years to be able to develop that trust. But thank God for you ladies, my sisters, to help me realize it's okay. Thank you, boo. Thank you.
You didn't have a choice.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, when you get connected to women like us, we're a different kind. We're a different breed. I don't believe that community means that you say we're friends and leave it there.
Right.
Oh, no,
I don't
it goes
believe
much
it
deeper
means,
than that.
yeah, I don't believe that you say you're my sister, and as my sister, I let you drown or I let you sit in your pain by yourself or discomfort, whatever it is that you're going through. As your sister, I feel like I have a responsibility to help you overcome that, to walk with you in that, and to help you trust a sisterhood, right? So that you can begin to navigate out. So when you hook up with people like us, we're not real good about letting you stay in isolation.
That's for sure. Mo will text me and she will put, hey, I haven't heard from you. Or she'll say, hey, where are you? It's like,
Yeah,
blunt to the point, and I'm right here.
and I think it is so necessary, though. I think people need to know that there are people who are, we say ride or die, and I think we use that phrase very loosely. Because when I think of a ride or die, I think of someone who is in the trenches and does not leave no matter how hard it gets, no matter how deep we may have to go, they do not leave until we both have been able to see up over that ditch, right? That we're climbing out of that ditch together. That's to me is a ride or die, that I can depend on you when I feel like I have nothing else. I can depend on you, and I don't have to go into this place of isolation because I know I have connections. And I think part of building, helping people come out of that is we have to start creating spaces where people can find community that is non-judgmental.
Yes. Very important.
Yeah. And I think it's also important to have a community where we're not trying to push us on you. You know, my story is not your story, and whatever your story is, my job is just to help you walk through that, right, and become okay with your story. And I think a lot of times with community, I try to make you feel what I'm feeling or be who I am or make your journey my journey. And I don't think that's what sisterhood is. I don't think that helps anybody. That's just my humble opinion. What do you all think?
I don't want your story to be my story. I want you to bring something different to the table because that's how we grow. That's how we learn. That's what keeps things interesting. So, I don't know. I'm so distracted with her. I'm sorry.
Well, you said a whole lot to be distracted, okay?
I think, like I just shared with you guys, I know when it's like I'm sharing in my isolation, a lot of times, and I've shared with both of you, I know for men too it's hard, but for women, sometimes it's hard for me at first I felt like it was going to be a burden on you guys when I shared things.
That was coming up.
So without getting too emotional, it was good knowing that you guys have always been here
So
just for the support.
I'm just thinking,
Love you, baby.
when you say that, then one would think that I'm not supposed to bring mine to you because it's a burden to you. And we all know that you are the last one to say that anything's a burden. You will take it all. But just, when you get in that place and you're feeling like, oh, I don't want to burden them, would you want us to be that way to you? Are we supposed to think that what we're bringing to you is a burden, when we're emptying out our hearts and all that?
Well, that's a good way to
Because
look at
the
it.
reality is, each and every one of us is going through 5, 6, 7 different things.
Yeah.
But we still give space for each of us to come with whatever we have weighing us down. And because we allow each other to do that, it helps us to lift the burdens off. It reminds us that we're not doing it by ourselves,
That's what I had to learn with you guys. So
We need
share
that time.
because I didn't want to.
I know
I didn't
everything
want
right
to.
now is about self-care. Because self-care allows you to step away from everybody and isolate.
Yeah.
And that's
Exactly.
not always good, you know. So we need y'all to stop talking about self-care all the time. Give it its space, but understand it has its space and need to move on.
Yeah, I think I think that's so valid. What you just said. First of all, the self care. I think we do abuse it because it's easy to abuse. It's easy to say that my isolation is taking care of me first. Well, I don't think our responsibility or we were ever commissioned to take care of just us, right, and push everybody else out. So that then it lies a problem, right? Because we're only focused on us and we're not focused on anybody else.
Yeah.
But I think, Joel, you said something very important too, is the realization that you can't do this by yourself. And it is understanding and knowing that I have someone that I can tap into that will carry me through this. Like you're gonna carry me regardless. I used to think that you grow up in, we have this, I don't know, because in our generation, I don't know if they still do it in the younger folks, but we used to say you can't trust women, right? I can't trust women, so women gossip, women this, women that. And so it was hard to trust a woman with my pain.
I bet Mary is texting right now.
Nope. But it was hard to trust women with my pain because I grew up thinking that women were not trustworthy, right? So that your gossipers, your backstabbers, your man stealers, right? You just can't, you're fake. You smile in my face one day and when I turn my back, you're stabbing me. So we have all of these myths about women. We have clumped all women into a small group, what a small group of women have done, and we clump everybody in it. And so we make it where it's not a healthy place because we don't trust anyone to help us navigate through our pain. I'm just talking from experience, my own personal experience. So that was why it was so easy for me to create Lynn's World. And I know that sounds so narcissistic, don't it? It was my narcissistic moment, okay? I needed that narcissistic moment, but I think it became easy for me to do that because I didn't trust that I had somebody who would help me without judging me. And coming up in that hell and damnation, that if you fail, you're an outcast, and with that mentality, it's very easy to isolate yourself. So I'm so grateful to have this connection of women where I can share myself. Like I share everything, and nobody judges me. Everybody but Mo. I did Mo hosing over my head. That's why when you say
I'm just sitting here thinking, there are people like, at work who come in, they chit chat with everybody, da 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 da. But you never know anything about them. And I understand not telling everybody your business and all that. But there's also some isolation in there because you want to keep them way over here. Mm-hmm. You're not letting anybody in. I don't know why that just came to mind.
No, I think that's good because that's definitely another form of isolation. Yeah. Mary said, yes, that is so true. I was guilty of having that attitude, that feeling that women couldn't be trusted. Girl, listen. It took me a long time to get over that. But when I did, oh God, how free I felt.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I didn't say how many friendships could you have had along the way
God.
that it could have been, everlasting friendships. But because you weren't in that space to open up, you missed it.
Yeah. Yeah, or how many free people did you have friends that you ran away.
Yeah.
Because you felt like they was getting too close, like you were getting, and I was real good at that. If you got too close and it felt like you was getting ready to prick my heart, I would literally do something to make you not want to be around me. Um, Mary said hers came. She said it came from past experiences of being stabbed in the back and hurt. Absolutely. Can you guys agree with that?
I think that probably 9 out of 10 women can say that has happened to them. But again, on a larger scale of things, we have to remember that's not all women. And so we can't let it taint us against each other by prejudging.
Yeah.
Because not only are we missing out on the friendship that we could have with them, but we may also be neglecting them in the sense that maybe they needed something from us.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's crazy because you never think of isolation being any other way than I used to think isolation was just sitting in your room and shutting the door, right? And that's it. Isolation comes in so many different forms and fashions.
Absolutely.
Isolation could be drug use, trying to isolate your mind and your emotions against what's happening to you in the world. Alcoholism is a form of isolation. Anything that you are using as a device, right, or a crutch can become your device of isolation, right? It's the thing, the one thing. Food. A lot of people eat my fruit snacks. Whew, Jesus.
I think my insecurities created an isolated world for me. Because if I stayed at home and kept to myself, I didn't have to go out and be judged or be uncomfortable. So it's easier to stay home.
That's good. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. How we want to hear from you. Tell us, what are your thoughts? How is isolation affecting your life? And not everybody deals with isolation. Not everybody has that issue. But if you do have that issue, we know that it is very important to find a group of people that you can just live life with. One of the things I love, though, about this sisterhood is we can just be our crazy, funny, cut loose,
Yes.
always in trouble self, right? Like, we can laugh, we can play. I mean, it's not always so serious with us, and so we enjoy one another. But I think that comes from that building that community of trust with one another. Like we trust one another, we confide in one another, we cry together. I don't think we've ever really fought.
Maybe you two know.
And we really don't fight.
She gets on my nerves.
Yeah,
And
you
she
guys are
works
funny.
my last
Your
nerve.
dynamics with each other are so funny. You guys crack me up like a married couple.
Oh, well, that is probably true, probably what most people say. Sometimes people really don't know how to deal with it. Let me just leave them into their own little
That's what
world.
we do. Each other like, okay, I'm gonna step over here.
But the more time you spend with us, you don't leave us in that world, you join that world.
That's right.
So
Yeah, we're fun. We have a lot of fun. I don't think. I think part of the problem is we take life too serious. And don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that you should not live life in a righteous way, and you should be cautious. But I'm saying that we shouldn't always live life so serious that we can't enjoy life. And someone told me once, a speaker I heard a speaker say that God gave us an abundant, He came to give us an abundant life, more abundantly. And we can't even live it because we are so caught up in our own selves that we can't even get to that more abundant, right? We're just like, oh, okay, God gave us a blessing, right? And God's like, I want you guys to live life, enjoy life, the abundance of life, more than enough, right? Like, live life. And I think we're so serious about life that we don't give grace, we don't give mercy, we judge people.
Especially women.
Oh, God. Okay, but I find that men do that a lot too.
I
did not realize it.
until later in life that they did,
My God.
but I don't know if they have the women beat.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm seeing a different side of men. I see. I just didn't realize that men gossip. I didn't realize that they catty too.
Oh gosh, yes.
I just I didn't realize, because when you think of a man, you think of that masculine, right? Like,
But
they got it all together. They're a man. They're strong. They got it all together. And no, they have issues, just as many issues as we do. So, and I think we find a lot of men who deal with depression because they're in isolation.
Yeah, I would think about it. They're taught not to show their feelings. So
Yeah.
they have to keep them hidden. They have to keep them, on the, I can't say on the down low. They can't express them as freely as we can.
That's true.
So that alone can cause isolation,
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. So isolation has no gender then, right?
Oh no.
No.
I wonder how many men would admit that they go into isolation.
Probably all of them.
You think they'll admit it?
Oh, well.
Maybe a few.
In the sense that they say, yeah, I ain't got to hang out with nobody. I ain't like you women. In that sense, yeah. I think they would admit it.
I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that.
Depends on the man that you're talking to.
Right? On what day?
Mary said, well, it's what we're taught. You're right, Mary. They are taught to keep their emotions in. I don't know that they will clarify it as isolation.
That's okay. I would agree with that, yeah. They wouldn't classify it as isolation. But it is.
It is. It is.
News bulletin, it is.
News flash.
Oh, news
So,
flash.
but when we think about steps of coming out of isolation, I really, really, really want our viewers, our sisters, our fellow sisters to know how important it is for you to please connect yourself with somebody so that you are not finding yourself trying to fight the world alone. And that you have people who you can count on, who you can talk to. And it's important. It's important to have someone that you can just be free with. As a pastor, when I was senior pastoring, it was really hard to come to this place of dealing with my own sense of need to isolate from everybody. Because I never gave myself permission to first deal with the pain, and I never gave myself permission to allow other people to help me deal with my pain or whatever was going on in my life, because I felt like I needed to do it by myself. Or because if I didn't, that means I wasn't a strong leader, right? People would question my leadership. Oh, well, if she needs a community to help her through it, how is she going to help us? And it didn't come into really think when COVID hit, I think I really came to a different understanding of what it means to be vulnerable and allowing other people in to help you navigate through those places. And it doesn't matter who you are, whether you have a title or no title, isolation can hit you too. Depression can hit you too. Um, and so you need a village or a community of people that you can count on. I did. I had Mo, I had a Joelle who called and checked up on me. Like those things really mean a lot. Like people calling and checking up on you when you feel like you have nothing left in you is important. And unless we, those who are already in the process of healing and moving out of this place of isolation to help other men and women out, I think we fail.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me hear your thoughts. I feel like I'm talking a lot. Am I talking a lot?
You always do.
Oh, who cares? Who cares? I can talk if I want to. It's my party. I can cry if I want to. So, yeah. What other tools can we offer before our time is up?
Self-check.
Mm,
How much time are you spending alone? Why? Is it serving any purpose?
that's good. That's good. So, self check. How much time are you spending alone? And why are you spending that time alone? And is it serving a greater purpose? Joelle, last thoughts?
I would say get to the point, reach out little by little, make the effort. If you've got someone to reach out to, reach out. If not, try and find someone that you can relate to or just connect with.
Yeah.
That's good. Make the effort. That's good.
Yeah, make that effort and just know we all have problems. We all are going through things and we're all tempted to disconnect ourselves and just crawl into our own little cave. But we know that that is not healthy and it does not promote growth. And we want to be able to just be a tool. We want to be able to just be accessible to help you navigate through these times of isolation. Isolation can be good if you're isolating um, to hear what the Lord is saying and to do some self-evaluation. That is a great thing. But if you're isolating because you don't want to deal with what's going on in your world, it could become detrimental to you. So we ask, and if you don't have anyone that you trust, get some professional help. It's nothing wrong with getting professional help. Let somebody help you navigate through these times of isolation so that you can begin your journey of healing. Um, Before we get out of here, I'm so tired. Our time is up. God, it just goes too quick. It goes too quick. Okay.
Right, quickly.
It does. It goes by so quick. So if you have a business and or a ministry, whatever it is that God has given you to do, and you would like for us to give your business a shout out for some promotion, we would be more than happy to do that. We want to see you successful. We want to see your business successful. We doesn't matter if you're in California, Texas, Florida, wherever you are. You can be in Japan. It doesn't matter. If you would like for us to give you a shout out so that others can know that your business exists, we want to help you be able to do that. So please drop it in our comments or drop it in our inbox and someone will get it to you. If you have a prayer request, please let us know. We would be more than happy to pray for you. We want you to just drop into the comments too. Somebody will get back with you. And if you want to be a part of our newsletter, we have a weekly newsletter that goes out every Thursday. It lets you know everything that's going on with Lynne Herring Ministries, with Table Talk, Broken Chains Ministries, Does Ministries, whatever it is that we're doing. We want you, please drop your information in the chat or you can inbox us and we promise you that we will add you to our subscriber list. So we just, your name, your email, and we will add you to our subscriber list and you will get it every Thursday. We do have a workshop coming up. I believe it's coming up in January, where we will be teaching the power of reaching back. Oh, I'm sorry. The power of reaching back. We are talking about sisterhood. We're talking about living life together. And we have a workshop that is the power of reaching back that will teach you how to live life with one another, how to mentor one another, how to bring others along so that you can help empower them to grow as well. So please, that comes out in our newsletter. We will make sure all that information comes out to you. We want to hear from you guys. If you guys have any topics you would like to hear us talk about, please put it in the comments or in our chat, and we will make sure that we put it in our bowl so that we would have a chance to talk about conversations that you want to hear. But again, we thank you guys so much for joining us today. We pray that if you are dealing with isolation, that you will absolutely find someone that you can trust that will help you navigate your way out of that place of navigation. Until next time, I am Pastor Lynne.
I'm Monique.
I'm Joelle.
And we will see you in 2 weeks.
She said Monique.
We have Malia over here. She wants y'all to know Malia was with us too. Thank you for joining us, Malia. No, thank you? Okay, that's fine too. We understand. So God bless you guys. We'll see you in 2 weeks.